So we all fall victim to this, every one of us who participates in it, and it's sad. And I've been thinking about TikTok because while YouTube isn't perfect, comparatively to TikTok, I do think that our videos hopefully give value, even though sometimes it's entertaining and then people don't actually go out and become more charismatic. But on TikTok, I would say it's even worse, where it's shrunk down to 1 minute. You're giving these quick advice. And the way that you succeed on TikTok is not by uploading one good video once a week. It's by uploading quantity and 3 videos a day. Take literally everything. Take a section of this conversation. Take me and you walking in the hallway, just random shit, and throw it at TikTok because it won't ding you when a video doesn't hit. And you're just volume is what matters.
Well, I was talking about this with a friend the other day, actually. For TikTok specifically, I think TikTok is probably bad for people's brains. So I want to talk about this later. What is today's cigarettes was a conversation we were having off air that I want to talk about. It's possible that TikTok's really bad for people, especially when they're developing their brain to just constantly be on this very tight dopamine cycle. And my question was, I think relative to what's on TikTok, Charisma on Command content is probably, and I'm biased, good in the sense that you spend 60 seconds learning something versus watching a 19-year-old dance in a bikini.
Yeah.
But the platform, I do think the world is probably better off if TikTok just is gone forever. Everyone gets Men in Black. No one remembers that it existed. It doesn't get reinvented, but we just don't have that this type of short form platform. Probably for the best would be my guess based on my understanding of how dopamine hacking works. And
potentially even true of YouTube as well. Potentially you go 5-minute videos, like learning needs to occur in a longer space, as does any enriching activity. Or
well, that's not my, and again, I don't use TikTok, so someone can tell me I'm wrong. That's not my experience with YouTube. I actually use YouTube to learn jujitsu, to learn surfing, League of Legends. Like it's been helpful for me to have these small bite-sized learnings and then go out in the world and practice. And that's how I feel about Charisma too. If you watch Charisma on Command for 3 hours a day, every day, and you don't interact with a human, you won't get better. But if you watch it, you go, oh, I'm going to work on this. And then you go out in the world and work on it. I think you will get better. So that's why I think, just from my anecdotal experience, YouTube has been helpful for me for skill acquisition. But
has it, just staking on this, net all the time in, divided by the denominator that YouTube has taken from you. As a consumer, net positive or not to what you would describe as like happiness in your life or flourishing in your life?
If I only watch tutorials or because of the way I use it?
Because of the way that YouTube, you can't divide the tutorials out of.
Yeah. I don't know what else I watch, really. I feel like it's been good. It's not my addiction. My addiction, Reddit, is where I waste more of my time.
So for me, I would say I have such a big denominator that's probably not a good thing in my life.
Yeah, well, this is why I don't know anyone you bring up when you bring up like donkey. You know, you're like, oh, donkey. I'm like, I don't know what a donkey is.
That's positive in my life.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that's everyone. I'm not saying my stuff is superior. I just have different stuff. My stuff is Reddit. Reddit, my life would be better off if I never had encountered what a Reddit was. And you had just posted some of our stuff in the early days and used Reddit to launch us, but I was ignorant of it forever. Yeah. Probably for the best. But YouTube for me, I think, has been positive.
Got it. So I have a couple questions about this. One, what should we do given that, because I'm talking to these people.
Well, that was my question about TikTok. I don't know the answer.
So Daniel Schmachtenberger talks about information ecology. And he says one of the ways you can think about it is like ecology, which is to say, don't pollute, which is don't tell lies, don't have meaningless noise out there. And the world won't immediately clean itself up, but you just don't want to contribute to that. And there's a degree to which just throwing everything on TikTok is noise, and that's pollution. And yeah, 1 in 10 videos does well, but is that even good for people? And of course, behind all of this is the fact that the operating question is not, is this a great video? Is it positively impacting people's lives? I'm not following up with surveys to be like, hey, is your life markedly better off this? It's just the only data that TikTok cares about. And I, as by proxy of that, is, does it get lots of views?
Yeah. But what if TikTok's a pool of sludge and the rare good content is the life raft that can get people out of TikTok?
So I think this is then a question that like even advanced spiritual teachers have to ask themselves, which is, okay, I can sit on the mountaintop, which is where the truth is. And if you come here and you spend 30 years with me, you'll get it. Or I can descend to the city and have a meditation class. Or I can put up meditation class on YouTube and say, this is going to help you focus more on work. Sure. And it's like...
Eckhart Tolle wrote a book.
Yeah.
Two books.
Yeah. And that's a question is as you get farther and farther from what you would like and what you think is best for people, the message necessarily gets diluted, necessarily might even move people away from where you'd like them to go. And so I don't know. I agree with you. Probably better than the average TikTok thing, at least in my estimation, for what is good for human flourishing. But preferably no one would be on TikTok if, or maybe even YouTube if I thought about it deeply. But his general point is one that I've been thinking about, is that in optimizing for what's best for you or us, you can make the world a much better place, or much worse place, sorry, based on that. It becomes an arms race of bullshit advice, wasted time on TikTok, fake news, all those sorts of things. And I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah.
He doesn't really have great solutions either. It's fun. I don't criticize him for this, but his solution is essentially this really thorough news dissemination that is taken by people without ideology. It doesn't really scale because you have to filter these people tremendously. They have to go to all these different sources. They have to show their work. They have to give you background on the India-Pakistan conflict before they can even begin to tell you what happened today. And everything's connected to everything. So you need to understand, politics plus this, plus history. And then they'll boil that down to a 3 to 10 page summary of like one event today with hyperlinks back to every other place. And it's okay. Well, that's not going to work for 99.99% of people.
Well, yeah, this has nothing to do with TikTok, which I don't know if it can function like this. But for instance, YouTube news, what will rise to the top is hot takes, pick a side and stick to it. Just be an aggressive part of your echo chamber. Mm-hmm. And I feel like what we try to do on the podcast is be measured and thoughtful. And we flip to the political spectrum depending on the issue. Mm-hmm. And we talked about this. A guaranteed product of that is that you don't blow up as fast. Mm-hmm. But I think you get a small audience that's thoughtful, and I don't know. I feel like you can be good for a small group of people like that. And when I look at the comments and people say that they like this because of that, it helps center them. It helps take them away from all that. It's like, okay, so we won't be the next Ben Shapiro. We won't have the 10 million subscribers, but people who log on to YouTube and see us and like us, this can be good for them as it reminds them, hey, that this guy isn't falling, or not everyone is evil on the other side, or whatever the lesson might be. You know what I mean? So I do think that there's value in having a smaller audience than you could possibly have, but producing stuff that you think is good.
So I totally agree with you. And the reason that works for us is because we don't need this podcast to make money.
Yeah.
And we've purposely carved out a space that says evolutionary business pressures will not affect this podcast. Yeah. And we have the luxury of doing that because we have this other space where you have to be instantly confident, and you have to, or it has to happen with market pressures on it.
Yeah, we still try to make those really good though.
I agree.
We could easily do 2 videos a day. No problem. They would be trash in terms of quality. I could even hire someone else to write them. I don't even have to look at it. You want to just tell people to stand up straight and have good eye contact with no nuance? Do it. And we'd have 14 videos a week. Instead, we have 2 a month. So I do think we try to focus on making them good. I mean, it's what I will spend the majority of the week doing. So I don't think even though it's the money-making thing, it's not like money is or short-term money is not the God. I think the benefit is we try to think 5 years out. Yeah. And when you think 5 years out, you do think what's going to be good for people, because I need you to like the video enough to come back.
True. But so let me say this. We are in a not hyper competitive niche, and we're very good at it. Almost, and I don't mean to compare us because this is a joke, like Elon Musk is in a hyper competitive niche, but he's extremely, extremely good at what he does. Like he breaks all the rules. If somebody,
his niche is funny too, because is it cars or electric cars? If it's electric cars, it's not. He's like the only one, right?
Well, something he's doing is, yes, incredible. So take us, for instance. If somebody was as good as me and you at making these videos and seeing these things, and they added, I'm going to crank these out, they'd beat us.
Oh, for sure.
They'd overtake us quickly. We're able to be one of the biggest players because there's not that many people. And luckily, our product is good enough that it can beat out aggressive marketing from people that don't have quite as good product. And I think it seems like Tesla fills a similar space, which is, look, if somebody was tied with us, they'd beat us with marketing. That's just like by controlling the way that people perceive your product without actually having to go to the product, it's an advantage.
Well, yeah, Apple kind of did both, right? That's why they took over the world for a while, because they tried to make I bought a PC recently. It is really amazing how clunky they are relative to Apple. They tried to make it good for users, and then they also spent a bunch of money on advertising. And that's why I think, weren't they the biggest company in the world for a while?
Yeah.
So because they did both.
Yes.
So they just crushed everybody.
Yes. And so I don't know exactly what we were saying there, but your point was, hey, we have struck a balance here where we're able to not go to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, Justin gets all the money, and Justin is the least greedy person I've ever met. So we just get to do this kind of money agnostic. So yeah, I guess we're not in the evolution. And we're getting beat. We're getting beat by other podcasts that come out.
If we had to pay rent with this podcast, you would watch it transform.
Yeah.
You would
or shut down as we had to pursue something else that got bigger. Yeah, no, someone started a podcast at the same time as us and it's 10 times bigger. I get what you're saying.
And by the way, Tesla exists because Elon Musk did PayPal, and he had this reservoir upon which to sink money into. Sure. So the tighter your pressures are, the more that you must play the game. And when you have cushion, then you can afford to be quote unquote more ethical, more honest, take more time and space.
That's why I think so many entrepreneurs move to foreign countries. Because if you're going to live in New York and be a first-time entrepreneur, you have about 6 months before you run out of money. But if you go to Thailand, Bali, Brazil, now all of a sudden you have 5 years. So you can actually make something good. You know what I mean? I think that's why people hunt for those longer time frames.
Yeah. And this isn't to say that you're any more, I was just thinking, are you more likely to be ethical in Bali than New York? And I don't think necessarily that's the case, but you're more likely to be ethical when you have more space to fail and not die, is basically what that is. So yeah, I don't know what to do about TikTok. I had a similar thought as you, which is like, hey, let's just be better than average in that polluted information ecology.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have an answer. You would like the priority of everyone on the planet, if you could snap your finger, to be what's best for me and everybody. What's best for the whole. Yeah. But what you have is a bunch of people defecting in the prisoner's dilemma and going, I'm going to optimize for me, I'm going to optimize for me, and it just makes things worse for the collective.
Well, I guess the question is, are you bringing people to TikTok, or are you assuming every view was going to be viewing something on TikTok? And I don't think we bring anyone to TikTok, because I don't think we point anyone to TikTok. We have an email list and a YouTube channel. If we did calls to action to our TikTok, we might be getting new TikTok users, but we only get people who are already on there. So I do think that's part of the question.
So if you universalize that and you go, am I starting it or am I just participating? Well, it's like, look, if we could all just agree that we weren't going to ask that question and we were just going to go, forget it, I'm not doing it, it would disappear.
Sure.
And so this is the problem, is that if we could coordinate collectively and agree, hey, let's only have titles like this, only have content that we believe is good. And
well, this is why Elon's inventing the Neuralink.
Yeah.
Because then we'll just be one organism.
And then it'll work better. And then, so the examples of things that do care about the individual but are subordinate to wholes, like your body. Like the cells in your body are not entirely selfless or selfish. They're each individually trying to survive, but also if there's a virus that invades, there's cells that are just going to throw themselves at it like drone bees, and die for something larger. And humans don't, like myself included, thinking about if the globe became the organism and we became the cells. In which case,
some humans throw themselves to their death for the greater collective.
Sure. So maybe that's
definitely part of the human experience.
Yeah. It's part of my individualist American Western upbringing. Is I don't love that idea.
Yeah.
But it seems to be, as you work through what creates these traps, it's that we view ourselves as separate entities where one can get ahead at the expense of another. And cells in your body, it appears, don't have that view. They need one another, and the individual, while important, is subordinate to the sum of the parts. Hope that you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to see more like this and have us do more podcasts, we are 100% funded by our generous patrons. And if you'd like to contribute, there's a link in the description, and we'll have one pop up on the screen right here so that we can do more podcasts where we have fun conversations and hopefully some deep ones like this. Either way, hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one.